It's time for health tips. Now here's your host, Dr. Alma Jenkins.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Alma Jenkins, and this is Health Tips. You know, I'm always thrilled to come into your viewership every week. And I hope that you invite someone over to your home to watch with you, because we hope this information is spread. You know, teach one, do one. I know when I was an intern, one of the little catchphrases we would say is see one, do one, teach one. And that applied to some of the procedures that we learned. You'd see the attending do it, then you'd see one, then he'd take you through, or she would take you through the ropes of doing it, and then you would teach somebody else to do it. So I would say, if you're getting help from this show, if you're learning something, then let me invite you to share it with someone else. Either have them come over to your house with you, or just call them and talk to them about it, and maybe they'll watch. We appreciate your viewership, and when I go to the market, or I make an errand and I run into you on the street, I appreciate your feedback. Even then, you're telling me that you're watching the show. I am very appreciative when I hear that you're lifting your cans. And we often do the cans when we're in the kitchen. But since we're not in the kitchen tonight, we are going to use other things to exercise with. But before I do that, let me calm some of your fears. You know, right now, there's a lot being said about coronavirus. And I know a lot of you are upset about it. You know, you've heard on television how people have been quarantined on cruise ships and in their homes, and some people are encouraged not to come to work from home, and all of those are good precautions. But let me just tell you that we have had many more deaths from the flu and many more cases from the flu than from coronavirus, but it's just that we're hearing more about the coronavirus. Most people can handle this virus, I would say, from what I'm hearing and seeing. But the more vulnerable people are the ones having the most trouble from it, meaning the deaths. And the most vulnerable, it seems, in the coronavirus are actually the elderly and those who have some immune compromise. Now, I didn't say that to make little of it, because, any of us be a part of that group. But I'm just saying that if the immune system is not well, or if you're in the elderly age group, which tends to have more of the problems with the immune system, then you're more at risk. Now, we don't yet have a cure for the coronavirus, very much like not having a cure for the flu, really. But we do supportive measures, isolation, hydration, in cases where there might be an infection other than the flu, along with the flu, treating that, those kinds of things. And this is what helps pull people through. So I would say, let's do the usual things we do for the flu. Washing the hands. Now, one of the big things we have to get out of doing, because a lot of people walk around not knowing they may have the coronavirus. And apparently the different thing about this virus is that you can spread it before you even know you have it. In other words, in a lot of situations, you become contagious, as you get symptomatic. But apparently, from what I'm understanding, in this virus, you can actually spread it before you're symptomatic. So it's a very difficult situation there. But at least when you begin to get symptoms, you can try to prevent the spread by doing things like washing your hands all the time. Since you don't know if you have it, wash your hands. If you happen to sneeze in your hand, go and wash them. And try to make a habit of not sneezing in your hand. That's one of the worst things you can do when you have a flu or a cold, is sneeze in your hand. Because what do? We do all sorts of things with our hands. So you can really spread it. You go touch the doorknob, you get on your computer, you use your remote, somebody comes behind you and does that. That virus can linger on that surface for some time. So the next person gets it. And then some people pick their noses, all sorts of things. So, if you can sneeze in your elbow, because a lot of times people have clothes on and it absorbs it. And you don't use your elbow for very much. So your chances of spreading it from sneezing in your elbow is very low. The virus is spread through the droplets that you exhale when you sneeze. So if you can do that in your elbow, preferably when you have clothes on too, in that elbow, and that'll catch that. And then you've contained it. So that's one thing. Second thing is, if you have a fever, isolate yourself until you can find out what's going on. Now, granted, most of the time it's probably not going to be coronavirus. Might be you have an infection somewhere else. Even a kidney infection can give you a low-grade fever, depending on how bad it is. So, and can give you a real fever depending on how bad it gets. But if you have a fever, you're coughing, these flu-like symptoms, then isolate yourself. If you're traveling, and I tell you, if I'm traveling and there's somebody sitting, if I can help it, I'll try not to be in the orbit of somebody who obviously is sick, even if they're not taking the precautions, then you have to take the precautions. Okay, so I would suggest that. And some people have asked the question, should they go out and purchase a respiratory mask? Now, let me just tell you that when I go into the hospital and we have to see a patient who, say, has TB, because, TB is spread through respiratory droplets and that sort of thing as well, and through the air, the virus, you exhale the virus. Or the bacterium. And that's how people can get TB. But when we go in their room, because we have to still see those patients, you can't put them in the hospital and then nobody goes to see them, right? So we wear protective masks. And oftentimes those masks have been fitted to our face. I know that at Johnston, they have you look like an astronaut when you go in there. You have to put on this helmet. They have something that sucks the air out. So they're, very, very precautious. And so we are isolated, so to speak, in terms of respiratory things. But that's a situation where we know we're going into an infectious situation. Most people are undoubtedly not walking around with coronavirus. I would not recommend everybody just automatically walk around with a mask on. I don't think that's going to help. Necessarily. And so I don't tell patients or my friends who ask me, I don't tell them to go and do that. Now, but if you ask me, well, should I purchase some and just have them available in the house? How can I say no to that? How can I say no? Because, who knows what's going to happen in the future and the shortages that might be. But I would not want to cause a panic and have everybody going out, excuse me, and trying to purchase a respiratory mask. So I want everybody to calm down, take the usual precautions, do your part not to spread whatever contagious you may have. If you're coughing, have a fever, runny nose, whatever, take those precautions, okay? So we got that out of the way. That's one thing. The second thing I want to get out of the way is, what is the month of March? Because that's this month. Well, you know that the month of March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. And we're already going to do a segment on colon cancer. So I'm not going to go into that right now. But it's also the month that has National Kidney Day in it. Okay? So I want to say a word about kidney disease. And the reason I do is because one of the things that can make you at risk for kidney disease is high blood pressure. And there are so many people with hypertension, particularly in the African American population. Hypertension is everywhere. But I say a word particularly in that population because African Americans are very salt sensitive. And so a little salt goes a long way, which means that if you cut your salt consumption, you can greatly decrease, you can cause a significant change in your blood pressure. And many of you, and this is not just to African Americans, but everybody, many of you will sit down and shake. Before you even taste your food, you're going to shake salt in it for what you think you're going to want. Okay? So if we can cut back on salt, that's going to do wonders for lots of people. Now, also, watching your cholesterol. I tell you a story, and I'll try to follow up with you on this as well. Went to my doctor recently, and she did some blood work, and then I got a call back to my house telling me that my cholesterol was elevated. Now, I was shocked. I'm not even going to tell you what it was. I couldn't believe it with my health consciousness. Now, but your body makes cholesterol too. You make it. So it could also be intrinsic. Doesn't always have to be that you're eating wrong or, that sort of thing. You actually do make it as well. Just like the animals you eat have cholesterol, you have cholesterol too. So, I considered what she said, and I said to myself, I'm going to do everything I can do to get this cholesterol to normal. And I asked her to recheck it in 6 weeks. And I told her that I was taking some very drastic measures to bring my cholesterol down. And one of the measures I've taken is to go on a complete vegan diet, except for eggs. And for those, I eat the whites and not the yolks. So complete vegetarian. I don't even go for fish on Friday. Now, I think fish is fine, but because I'm trying extra hard, plus that's got the good cholesterol, but because I'm trying extra hard, I've given up all meat for a while. And we're going to repeat that cholesterol in 6 weeks. And you know what? I'm going to give you some follow-up because my cardiologist told me, I'm sorry, I've got something in my throat. Cardiologist told me that he said, well, diet helps, but about 15%. That's about as much as you can do with diet. And I thought to myself, aha, I'm going to show him. I'm going to do diet, and because I have strong faith, I'm going to pray about it as well, and I'm going to exercise, and we're going to see where we can go with this thing. So I'm excited to get it rechecked very soon. And I'm going to give you some follow-up on that because I've been taking some significant measures. You know what else I've been doing? I've been eating celery, a little stalk of celery. And I try to do it every time I can think of it. I also use chia seeds. I have some chia seeds, and when I can remember it, I'll go and do a dose of chia seeds in water or yogurt or something, and I'll eat that. I've been doing more oatmeal lately. I've been getting on the treadmill. I've been doing things. So I'm excited to find out just what I can do. I also cut the salt, not so much for cholesterol, because that won't affect that, but to keep my blood pressure under control. I think I told you before, almost all my family members are hypertensive, including myself, and on blood pressure medication. So do you know what happened when I cut my salt significantly? In fact, for a while I used no salt. I was just using that no salt. It's kind of bitter tasting, but you can actually kind of get used to the taste of it. I used to be able to put my hand into my, press on my leg and get a little bit of a dimple. But when I went on the no salt, didn't do any salt other than what was already in whatever food I was eating, and I didn't cook with it, I noticed that I wasn't getting that dimpling. I lost some weight, and I've continued to lose some weight. So I have nothing but good things to report, okay? So if you want to go on this journey with me, maybe you don't want to go completely meatless. You might do one day a week where you don't have any meat, like a meatless Monday or a meatless Wednesday. Okay? So you might want to try that with me and see how it goes for you, particularly those of you who are trying to cut your cholesterol. Don't put it off. Listen, that's important. If you add together the risk of elevated cholesterol and hypertension, that puts you at great risk for heart attack, stroke, and those kinds of things. And then, if that's the case, then you're more at risk for dementia and those, and we want to keep our minds. So let's do all we can do. And I said that to encourage you to walk this journey with me. And let's see where we come out. Okay? Now, let me just tell you another little story. So for Christmas, one of my nieces, and I have many of them, I've been blessed. But one of my nieces and her husband gave me a gift. Let me just show it to you. It is the weight training kit. Now, I'm not a spokesman for this company at all, but I just thought it was wonderful. Weight training kit. And in it, you have a jump rope. You have weights that you can put on your arm and legs. And then you have an exercise band that you can, exercise with the band. And I'll just show you these things. Here is the jump rope here, and it's all tied up. See if I can break it, or at least pull it out of here. And I hope that you all don't think you're too old to do jump rope. See if I can undo this. They put it in there so very firmly, sometimes it's hard to undo it. Okay, so we've got a jump rope here. Okay, and we're going to do some of this tonight. And then here is one of the rubber bands. And you got to be really strong to get into this one. Let's see if they put it here in a way that I can open it. Oh, thank goodness. I used to use my teeth to open things, but I tried that and I cracked my front tooth. Cracked it to where they had to pull it. So don't use your teeth to open things, ladies and gentlemen. I learned my lesson. Don't use your teeth. That's what the dentist told me. Don't use your teeth to open things. Okay? All right, see that? Actually, it gives you such great resistance. Now, I show you this so that if you get a chance, and they may have this at places like Dollar Store, Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, some cheap place, go look and see if they have these bands. They shouldn't cost very much, but you can do all kinds of wonderful things with them, okay? So I really encourage that. You don't have to go to the gym necessarily, but now I don't knock the gym. A good trainer is worth a lot because they put you on a routine. But if you can develop the discipline of doing the exercise every day, you can just get some of this equipment fairly cheaply. And then every day start doing 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, and then increase it until you can get up to 30 minutes of exercise, at least 30 minutes of exercise a day. That's going to do you wonders, okay? You got to get moving. If you don't move, you lose. If you don't move, you lose. And then here are the weights. Now, for those of you who like to walk, this is really good because, you put this on and then it fastens with Velcro. So you can put these weights on your, let's see what it says here. These are wrist and ankle weights. So you put these on your wrists or on your ankles, okay? And then you just go ahead and walk. So all it does is just increases the amount of energy that you expend because you're carrying more weight, okay? So what we're going to do, let's see how much time we have. We have 7 minutes and 22 seconds. Now, I already have in my possession some dumbbells, okay? You can always get dumbbells, but if you don't have dumbbells, you can just go in the kitchen and get your cans, okay? I do cans because it's so convenient. I'm already in the kitchen, And I don't know anybody who has a kitchen who doesn't have some cans in there, some canned goods, and again, we take that for granted. When I went to Haiti, I'm sure there were people who did not have canned goods in their kitchen. But most of us here have some cans, even if it's a few cans. And you can take those very cans and do the exercise that you need to do with your upper body, much of it anyway. So, I encourage you that you don't necessarily have to go buy dumbbells. You can use your cans. But for other exercise, that you can get jump ropes very cheaply, and you can probably get those rubber bands very cheaply as well. So if you can do those two things, plus you can walk anytime, anywhere, it doesn't cost you anything. So you see, those are several exercises right there that you can do, not even paying an expensive gym fee. Okay? All right. Before I do anything else, let me tell you one more story because I want you to be careful. Went to my niece's house. They decided to go exercise at 5:30 in the morning. I got up with them, went. I stepped just wrong on the treadmill, and it flung me off of it, and I had a fall accident. So I'm very thankful that I didn't break anything and that I was able to get up and move on. But watch yourself on a treadmill. And also, there's usually a device on the treadmill that if you undo it or you move it, it'll stop. Try to be aware of that device so that if you do have a problem, the treadmill can stop right away. Sometimes you can hook it to you, and sometimes it's just hanging there and you can just pull it off. In my case, I think it came, and sometimes I'll stand on either side that's stable while I do something else and then put both feet on it when it's moving. Don't do that. If you want to come off the treadmill, stop it. Okay? And then once you get on, watch where your feet are. Watch where your feet are. If you happen to move your foot over to the side, you may just step wrong and it'll throw you off it. The worst thing about that is when I fell, I hit my head. But fortunately for me, I didn't bang it too badly. You don't want to cause trauma to your head. That can cause injury later on down the road. So, be very careful. Those of you who are on treadmill, don't take them for granted, okay? I think that was a case of my taking the treadmill for granted because it's not a foreign thing to me. I get on the treadmill anytime. I have one here at home, and I've never fallen off of it like that. That was the first time, but be very careful, okay? All right, so first what we're going to do is we're going to do some dumbbell exercises. We have about a little under 4 minutes, so we're going to work right now. In fact, that's what's going to take us off the show. We're going to do some exercise. I hope you'll give this information to your friends. Remember, we talked a bit about coronavirus. We talked about the fact that I'm on a journey of no meat right now and very low salt, and we'll see where that takes me at the end of this period of time, this journey. I'm going to give you some feedback because I want you to know how good it can get if you stick to your guns, okay? All right, let's exercise. 1, 2, 3, and 1, and 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, 7, and 8, 9, and 10. Okay, I want to just do different things because we don't have much time, and I want you to see how this can go. We only have about 2 minutes. So if you put your legs inside of this, okay, and just kind of try to have it like this, you can go like that. And there is some resistance there with that, okay? I find it better to put it on the knee and move in and out. There is resistance there. Look at that, okay? Now you can get the rubber band that's open-ended. I have another one here that's really wide, and it's not a circular like this. It's just open-ended, and you can step into it and just hold it up like this and get some resistance, okay? But let's do 20 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, you know, that works on your inner thigh. Many of you have thunder thighs, right? And you want to tone those thighs up. This will help do that. This will help do that. So do this for, you know, at least 20 times, and you'll begin to feel that fatigue in your thighs, okay? 13 and 14, 15. I know I probably missed some there. 16 and 17, 18, 19, and 20. 2, 3, 4. Ooh, you do that, and I promise you, you're gonna feel that in your thighs. All right? Give yourself a little bit of a rest. Take a deep breath in. Let it out. Deep breath in. Let it out. And last, okay, and I guess this will really take us off, let's do some jump roping. All right? It's been a while since I did that. All right? Don't you love it though? 1, 2, 3, and 1. Uh-oh. You know, it's easier on a hard surface. We're on a rug. 1. Oh, not doing too well, am I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's what you have to get used to on a surface like this. So try your jump rope, but do it on a hard surface. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Good night.